Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this lesson we're going to be going through the verb to plan. I'm going to take you through all the grammar forms, so that includes I, you, he, she or it, we and they. So I'm going to show you how to use this in everyday life, so when you're speaking you can sound pretty fluent in conversation. And also I've added little features so you can pick up other terms in Spanish as well as this verb. So with that being said, let's just get started. So to start with, the way this verb works, you can use it for many different reasons. So you can use it to say, I'm planning to do it, I'm thinking of doing it, I plan to do it, etc. So you can use it for quite a lot of terms. Now the original verb to plan is planear, but we're not going to need that because the more natural way it's used is estoy pensando en. Now this means I'm thinking of, so in the term I'm, and we will move on to the other terms, but to start with we'll just start with I'm thinking of. So the way you're going to use this is estoy pensando en plus the verb. I've used an example here which is to read. In Spanish that would be leer. Now I will show you how it's how they do it. To say I'm thinking of reading, this would be estoy pensando en leer. So all you're doing is just putting a verb on the end, and this works for every different grammar form. In the verb I'm at the minute, and it's going to work for you, he, she or it, we and they. So it's going to work throughout the whole thing, and you will see this more clearly as we go on. So I'm going to teach you an adverb, and to say later in Spanish, this would be más tarde. Now what I want you to do is try and say I'm thinking of reading later. Just pause the video and think it out. So this would be estoy pensando en leer más tarde. So the verb to travel is viajar. So the V is pronounced with a B and the J is like a H sound, so viajar. Now try and say I'm thinking of traveling. This would be estoy pensando en viajar. Now try I'm thinking of traveling later. Estoy pensando en viajar más tarde. To say this year in Spanish, this is este año. Este año. And to say in July, this is en julio. So the J, once again, it's a H sound. So en julio. Now try and say, I'm thinking of traveling this year in July. Just take some time and think it out. This would be, estoy pensando en viajar este año en julio. So for our next grammar form, we have you're planning to or you're thinking of. And the way this is used is by saying estás pensando en. So all you're doing is changing estás from estoy. Estoy means I'm, estás means you're. So estás pensando en. Now for our next adverb, what I want to teach you is how to say tonight. And this is esta noche. Esta noche. Do you remember how to say the verb to travel? Viajar. So remember the V is pronounced with a B and the J is a H. Viajar. Now what I want you to try and say is you're thinking of traveling tonight. This would be estás pensando en viajar esta noche. Now the verb to speak is hablar. The H is silent, so we just have hablar. And to say to him or to her, which is very useful to learn, we have con él for him and con ella for her. Now the con ella, the L's are pronounced as a Y, so it's not ella, it's ella. Now what I want you to try is you're thinking of speaking to him. This would be estás pensando en hablar con él. And what about you're thinking of speaking tonight? Estás pensando en hablar esta noche. Now try you're thinking of speaking to him tonight. Estás pensando en hablar con él esta noche. So for our third grammar form, we have he, she or it is thinking of or planning to. And this all comes down to está pensando en. So just like your, we had an S on the end, but the S is taken off in this case. So it's just está. Está pensando en. The verb to drive is conducir. Conducir. Now I want you to try and say, he is thinking of driving. This would be está pensando en conducir. Now, if you want to say to drive it, all you're going to do is have conducir plus lo. So this would be conducirlo. Try this. She is thinking of driving it. Está pensando en conducirlo. So the ending on that is quite difficult to pronounce, especially if you're a beginner, but the more you practice it, the better you'll get at pronouncing it. To say the car, this is el coche. El coche. Now try, he is thinking of driving the car. Just pause the video and think it out, or write it down, whatever's best for you. So this is está pensando en conducir el coche. To say to the airport, this is al aeropuerto. Al aeropuerto. He is thinking of driving the car to the airport. How would you say that? Está pensando en conducir el coche al aeropuerto. She is thinking of driving the car to the airport tonight. So we have the adverb on the end to remember that. So this would be está pensando en conducir el coche al aeropuerto esta noche. So now the sentences are starting to get a little bit harder. If you're struggling, just the best way to do it is write it down. That's how I learned it. So now to say the truck in Spanish, this is el camión. So because the accent's on the O, you've got to stress that point. El camión. Now try this. She is thinking of driving the truck to the airport. This would be está pensando en conducir el camión al aeropuerto. So for our fourth grammar form, we have we are planning or we are thinking of. And this all comes down to this word estamos. Estamos pensando en. Now the verb to go, or you can use it as going, it's just this little word, it's ir. Ir. So it's like we're saying ear in English, you know, a body part, ear. Now try and say we are planning to go. Estamos pensando en ir. So once again, all we're taking is we are planning to, and we plus the verb to it. So estamos pensando en ir. To say to the cinemas, this is a los cines. A los cines. Now let's put all of this together. I want you to try and say we are planning to go to the cinemas. Estamos pensando en ir a los cines. Now you may want to say with family. This would be con la familia. Con la familia. Now try and say, we are thinking of going to the cinemas with family. This would be, estamos pensando en ir a los cines con la familia. So it is quite a long sentence, but if you break it down, it's not so difficult. Now, if you don't want to go with your family, you may want to go with your friends. And the way you say this is con mis amigos. Con mis amigos. Now, this is plural. That's why we have both S's on the end. If it was just one friend, it would be con amigo. Con amigo. But because we're talking about a group of friends, we've got to make it plural. So this becomes con mis amigos. Now try this. We are thinking of going to the cinemas with my friends. Estamos pensando en ir al cine con mis amigos. Now for our final grammar form, we have they are planning or they are thinking of. And this is all down to están pensando en. So we have an on the end this time. So our first verb I want to introduce you to is to visit, which is visitar. Now the V is pronounced with a B, so it's visitar. And I want to teach you how to say the restaurant, which is el restaurante. El restaurante. So there is a lot of R's being rolled there. If you can't roll your R's, you will still be understood. But if you want to sound like a native, it's best to learn how to do it. With all that being said, now I want you to try and say they are thinking of visiting the restaurant. So this would be, están pensando en visitar el restaurante. Do you remember how to say tonight? Esta noche. Now try, they are thinking of visiting the restaurant tonight. Están pensando en visitar el restaurante esta noche. So that sentence is quite difficult to pronounce if you're a beginner. But the more you practice it, the better and more fluent you'll get with it. To say but, which is a very useful word in Spanish, is this little word, pero. Pero. Now, if you can roll your R's and you double roll the R in there, it will actually mean dog in Spanish. So perro is dog, but pero is but. Now, do you remember to say I'm thinking or I'm planning to? It was the very first one we learned. Estoy pensando en. So remember, it's estoy, and están is the they. So hopefully you remembered that one. Now this sentence is quite a big one, so pause the video if you need to and write it down. That might help. But basically try and say they are thinking of visiting the restaurant tonight, but I'm thinking of. Now this would be, están pensando en visitar el restaurante esta noche, pero estoy pensando en. So let's break this one down. We have están pensando en, they are thinking of. Visitar, that's our verb, to visit. El restaurante, the restaurant. Then we have our another adverb, tonight, esta noche. But I'm thinking of, pero estoy pensando en. Now the verb to go in Spanish, if you remember, it's ir. So it sounds like a body part, ir. And to say to a party, this would be a una fiesta. So because it's just a party, it's a una fiesta. Now try this final sentence. They are thinking of visiting the restaurant tonight, but I'm thinking of going to a party. So we have, están pensando en visitar el restaurante esta noche, pero estoy pensando en ir a una fiesta. So that wraps up the video for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope this lesson has helped you learn this verb a bit better and also pick up a few new words. If you are beginning to learn Spanish, my advice would to be just keep at it, because one day you'll just pick it up and you'll be fluent, and yeah, it's just amazing. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.